Okay, so let's get started. We're going to come into a comfortable seat to begin today. As always, it can be really nice to sit up on a blanket or two, or a firm cushion from the couch or a block, just giving yourself a little lift, especially if you're tighter in the hips or in the pelvic girdle, so that you can sit a little taller through your spine. Before we come to a quiet place here, just start to roll your shoulders back. And roll them forward. Good, roll shoulders back again. And then just allowing your shoulder blades to release down your back, hands on your thighs. Gently let the eyelids close here. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Couple more times like that. So smooth, deep inhale, fill up, find length, find space. And then exhale, let the to-do list go, the week so far go. Anything that is stressing you out, just put it aside, giving yourself permission to check in for the next hour, to move, to breathe, to slow down, even though we're working hard. And you do that, exhale as many times as you need to, and then eventually starts to fall into that rhythm of your Ujjayi breath. So that inhale through your nose, and that exhale through your nose, you start to create that soft rush of air in the back of your throat. It sounds like ocean waves rolling in and out. And maybe you're pretending that you're on a beach somewhere, actually listening to those ocean waves rolling in and out. Maybe feeling a little sun on your skin, a little warmth. It's cold here in Denver today, so I can't help but think of sunnier climes myself. We're in this place during the year where it's like we all have spring fever. We're ready for winter to end, but it's not quite done yet. I feel a little stuck. So we'll use our yoga to move a little bit, to warm up, to create some heat, maybe to help shift kind of how we're feeling energetically. Observe here if you've started to slouch, started to round at all. Really root down into your sit bones. You can send your exhale down and then lengthen. Make sure that the shoulders aren't creeping up around your ears. So you can just pretend that somebody is pressing down on your shoulders so they're nice and heavy. You're lengthening through your neck. So yes, there is effort sitting here in this Sukhasana, but we also want there to be a sense of ease. So we don't want to grip in the places that we don't need to. Sometimes that happens without us even being aware that it's happened. Good, blink your eyes open here. We're just gonna start to rock around in this pelvic girdle. So just coming into some Sufi rolls. That's an S-U-F-I, in case you heard sushi. It's not that kind of a roll. It's yummy though. So just let this feel really good. You can get your shoulders, your neck involved. Might be small circles. Just see what you need. And then let's start to switch directions here. How does this side feel different? Where do you get a little sensation, a little stretch? Just observing. Good. We're going to start to come back to center. You're going to peek down, see what shin is crossed in front. Extend your legs to straight and then recross with that opposite shin in front. Adjust here. You can even roll the thigh flesh out so you're really on those sit bones so you can sit nice and tall. And then right away, notice, does this side feel slightly different in your body? So we typically cross the leg that feels a little easier, a little more comfortable first. So just observe if that's true for you. And then again, close your eyes. Return to that beach in your mind. Find that rhythm of your breath, that steadiness. Find that, just that nice seat. So you're efforting where you need to, but also finding this sense of ease. And you're going to notice that your attention wanders. You're going to get distracted by sounds happening in the room around you. You're going to get distracted by the thoughts coming into your mind. All this is fine. When you become aware of the fact, though, that you've time traveled a little bit, that you've attached to something, just come back to your breath, even if you have to do it 1,000 times the next hour. So just as we start to build our muscles and our flexibility, our strength, we do the same thing with this mindfulness muscle. So we start to improve our focus, our attention. Good. Blink your eyes open. Here we're going to do a little lateral side to side stretching. So root down into your right palm and that left hip, opposite hip, top arm comes up and over. Good. As you exhale, release down, and then inhale, right arm up and over. Good. And then you might just close your eyes again here. And I want you to start to move with your breath. So we start to connect this idea of vinyasa, connecting movement with breath. You're not too fast, you're not too slow, you're just right. You're really listening to what it is your body is craving today. And just remember that it always looks a little different every time we get on our yoga mat. So even though we're practicing a lot of the same postures, the same poses, our practice is really fluid. It's always a little different, and that's a good thing. Let's do a couple more rounds here, side to side. Maybe it feels like you're getting a little longer as you begin to warm up the body a little bit here. Good. The next time you're rooting down into that right palm, hold here, keep breathing. That inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. Feel the shoulder blades release down your back, even though they're in this configuration. Feel them squeeze in towards each other. You're getting lots of length through this left side. You can really feel that, but can you twist the right ribs up towards the ceiling a little bit? Now the pinky side of the hand is spinning down towards the mat and that lifted arm, that left arm. So you're getting a little internal rotation there. Maybe you start to bring your gaze slightly up. That's gonna stretch the neck out a little bit. Sometimes it feels too intense. So if that's you today, you skip it. And you just gaze somewhere where you have a sense of ease. Good. Let's exhale, root down into that left palm. Inhale, right arm reaches up and over. So keep anchoring into that right sit bone, but you can walk this left hand out as far as feels good in your body. Some of us can come down to our forearm. And then pinky side of the right hand spins down as you lengthen through that right side of your waist, start to spin those left ribs up towards the ceiling. So this nice lateral side stretch, but also a little twist here. Of course, a little hip stretch. What's going on with your breath? Have you lost it? And then play with your gaze. Maybe you even start to look up. Good. Exhale, come back to center. Extend the legs, give them a little shake out. And then we're gonna come to our tabletop position, just setting up for some cat-cow, so getting into the spine. Just warming up the spine a little more, connecting movement with breath. So again, just tapping into this idea of vinyasa. So as we inhale, we arch in the lumbar. Chest comes forward through the gates of your shoulders. This is like a cobra pose. As you exhale, press down, maybe really firm more into your shins than you normally do, into the tops of your feet. And then you continue like this, inhaling, arching. Exhale, round in. Put your brain in your hands. I want you to make sure that you're pressing evenly into all 10 knuckles, and maybe even bring a little more weight to the inner edge of the hand, the mound of the thumb, the index finger. Notice how that turns the upper arms on. And there is a sense that you're widening across the backs of your shoulders. Your lower belly is pulling towards those back ribs, so you feel really supported. Good, let's do a couple more rounds here. On your next inhale, come back to neutral spine. You're neither arching nor rounding. Your gaze is an inch or two in front of you, and we're going to move into bird dog. So just finding a little more extension, working these muscles in the back, in the front of the body as well. So all of these core muscles. It's helpful to keep your gaze an inch or two in front of your fingertips here. Arms really active, legs really active. As you inhale, right leg, left arm. Those right toes are pointing down, hips are even. Exhale, release. Inhale, see how long you can get. Left leg, right arm. Exhale down. And then you continue like this. Maybe move a little slower. Stretch things out. Keep your belly engaged. Feel muscle firm to bone in both your arms and your legs. See how long you can get. These asymmetric stretches are really nice if you've got stuff going on in your back. If you're feeling a little tight, there's a little discomfort. This kind of helps to warm or to work some of that out rather. All right, so the next time, right leg, left arm are reaching. Let's take another inhale here. Exhale, curl in, knee to nose. Inhale, stretch back. Exhale, release. Good, inhale, left leg, right arm. Exhale, round in. There's a little cat feeling here. Inhale, nice and slow. Lengthen out, hips face down. Exhale, release. Good, inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, curl in. This is definitely challenging to the balance. So if you fall out, no big deal. This is a great thing doing this at home. No one can see. Inhale. Exhale. I encourage cursing and laughing at yourself. This is only yoga. It need not be terribly serious. It should be kind of fun. It should feel good. Let's do this left leg, right arm here. Curl in. Inhale, lengthen out. Good. Release down. Nice work. So just check in with your hands again. We want shoulders landing over wrists, fingers spreading, pressing evenly. Feel your belly pulling in here. Reach your right toes back. Curl them under. That leg is in plank pose. It's really active. Reach your left toes back. Curl them under. So full plank. Few breaths here. Widen across the backs of your shoulders. Feel your shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Pull the belly in. Firm the legs up. Front of the leg presses to the back of the leg. Tendency here is to lift the hips too high or to arch in the lumbar, which is a lot of pressure there. If this is absolutely impossible for you, you're just lowering your knees. You're getting all of the work. That's how you get strong. I did that for years when I started yoga. All right, a couple more breaths. If you're shaking a little bit, smile that you are. That means you're working hard and getting strong. Okay, so we're all gonna lower our knees. As we exhale, elbows bend in, keep the shoulder heads lifted. So we want everything to touch down at the same time. Nice work. Tops of the feet press here. Reach your arms by your side, land on your forehead. So pressing into all 10 toenails, legs really active, outer hips squeezing in. So the glutes are firing here to give you a little support in your lower back. As you inhale, keep anchoring into the lower body, head, chest extend forward and up. Shoulder heads are lifting up towards the ceiling. Shoulder blades are squeezing in towards each other on your back. Breath smooth and steady. Fill up. So good to breathe on our bellies like this. Prone position. One more deep inhale. As you exhale, lower down. All right, so this time we're going to inhale, lift everything up, assuming that that feels okay for you. So if you're doing this at home and you're newer to yoga, there's a lot of sensation in your lower back. Place the feet back down. Return to the pose that we just did before, the variation, with that anchoring of the feet. Good. And then notice if you're sickling your feet a little bit, so like the big toes are turning out, squeeze them in. There is internal rotation happening in the legs and our thighs are spiraling up towards the ceiling. Place your feet down. Take your arms out wide. Couple of breaths here. Maybe in this configuration with the arms, you can lift the shoulder heads a little higher. Maybe not. Play around, see what's happening. Good, and then take your fingertips underneath your shoulder heads. Here we are in Bhujangasana, low cobra. Just lift your hands up. So the pose is basically happening without using our arms. So you don't need to press here. Use the muscles in your back. Hands come back down. Good, as we exhale, we lower. Just a few times moving with the breath. Inhale, extension forward and up. Exhale, lower. Inhaling up. Good, exhale, lower down. And then we inhale up here. As we exhale, we're gonna press to our tabletop, curl toes under, find your first downward facing dog. And I always recommend starting out little bend in the knees, can feel really nice. It allows us to stretch the sit bones up towards the ceiling so you can get lots of length through the sides of your waist, lots of length in your spine. And then of course you're just gazing between your feet. So your ears line up with your biceps. So the back of the neck is nice and long. And that's surprisingly hard to do. We're used to holding up the skull, the brain, so it's hard to let go there. So give yourself permission. And as you gaze between those feet, make sure that your feet are hips distance apart. Second and third toe point forward. And then you might start to release your heels back towards the mat any amount. You might keep a really generous bend in your knees for the first little while. And by little while, that could just be, that might mean years of your yoga practice. That's okay. So we're all built different. We've all got different things going on. There is like no perfect pose that we're trying to get to. Okay, so from here, we're gonna start to walk our hands back to meet our feet. Couple of options here. So first I want you to feel very balanced on your feet. So you're not gripping the toes. All of the weight is not back in the heels. In fact, let's just do that. Let's kind of shift back and then forward. And then I want you to find that place where your hips are over your heels, but you're not gripping the toes. So that center place, your hands might even be on your thighs or your shins here. Let's all do that. Press into the shins, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. All right, as we exhale, we fold in. Again, let the back of the neck lengthen and release. Couple like that. Inhale, lengthen forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in. And then pressing into your feet, stretching arms out and up, reaching up overhead. See how tall you can get. As you exhale, hands come together at your hearts. All right, moving into some half sun salutes. Inhale, arms reach up. May they actually bring the sunshine here. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhale, fold. Press down into your feet, stretch arms out and up. Good, as you exhale, hands come together at your heart. A few more of these. Such a beautiful way to warm up the body, connect to movement with breath. Reaching on your inhale. Exhaling, folding in. Feel inner thighs spiral back, sit bones stretch up towards the ceiling. So you inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhale, fold. Pressing into your feet, stretching arms out and up. Good, as you exhale, hands come together at your heart. And just to note, your feet could be together here. You might be hips distance apart. That's always really a good place to be for most of us. We're stretching up on our inhale. Exhaling, folding in. Inhale, lengthening forward. As you exhale, you fold. Press down into your feet. Stretch your arms out and up. Let's stay here. So you're going to bring your... Actually, let's bring our right Fingertips to our left wrist. Pull up, get long on that side. Keep anchoring into your feet as you exhale. Lean off to the right. So again, that side stretching, we've already been here in our body. Pinky side of this left hand is spinning down. Shoulder blades are squeezing in towards each other. You're breathing that inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. Of course, you might be feeling this stretch a little more intensely. It might have moved to some different places. Next, inhale, come up to center. Left fingertips to right wrist, pull up. And as you exhale, you side bend to the left. Try to feel pretty even in both feet. It's not going to be exactly even, but move in that direction. Maybe you're looking up underneath that top arm. You're feeling that internal rotation. Breath doesn't skip a beat. And if it does, you just find it again. Good. Inhale up to center. Good. As we exhale, we hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Keep looking forward. Bend your knees a lot. Plant your palms. Step your right foot way back, and then your left foot. Here we are. Plank pose again. Nice deep inhale. Good. Exhale, shift forward on your toes. Let's come to knees for this first one. Elbows bend. You pause it halfway, then exhale the rest of the air out. That's a distinct pose. Press into the tops of your feet. As you inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Stay here for a couple of breaths. If you're ready to move into your up dog, hands drag back, wrists underneath your elbows. Again, they're squeezing into the midline. As you inhale, you do press into your hands here. So elbows come to straight. You press into your feet, legs really active. Knees, shins, thighs lifting up off the mat. From here, you roll over your toes. If you're in your low cobra, you press to your tabletop and then make your way into your downward facing dog. Releasing the neck, gazing between your feet. Here we are again, second downward dog. How is it feeling different already? Is it feeling different yet? Notice, observe. Take a few breaths. Make any little adjustments that you need to, and then be in this place of stillness. As you inhale, find a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. So you're staying in your downward dog. We're gonna step our right foot forward, then our left foot forward. You can take several steps to walk forward, that's fine too. As you inhale, chest extends. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Pressing down into your feet, reaching arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. So that was our full sun salute. Inhaling, reaching. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Keep looking forward, bend knees, plant palms, spread fingers. Left foot back this time, then your right foot. Inhale here in plank, shoulder blades squeeze. So this time, option to come to your knees or shift forward on your toes. Exhale, lower halfway. So you can come down from here, or you roll over your toes into your upward facing dog. So your shins, your knees, your thighs never touch down. You could be in your low cobra. Lots of ways to modify. They're all good. Sometimes it's fun to mix and match. Of course, as you exhale, you pull back downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Maybe see if you can stretch your sit bones up towards the ceiling a little more as you press down into all 10 knuckles in your hands. And then perhaps start to squeeze your forearms in towards each other. Notice how that activates the upper arm. The inner arm starts to wrap towards the outer arm. You start to widen across the backs of your shoulders. All right, here we go. As we inhale, a little bend in the knees, come to the tippy toes. Peek where you're going, end of your exhale. Step left foot forward, then right, walk forward. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Good, inhale, press into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Good. Probably, if you're like me, you're smiling at this point. It's just hard to not be happy doing sun salutes. I might be a weirdo though. As you inhale, arms reach up. As you exhale, fold in, a yoga weirdo. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward, bend knees, plant palms. Right foot back, then left foot. See if you can stretch out this exhale as you take your version of your chaturanga vinyasa. What does your body need? Inhale, low cobra or up dog. As you exhale, pull back, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. So tiny little adjustments, and find that place of stillness. Slow everything down. This is like our home base, our reset. Good. So from here, let's inhale, lift our right leg up. As you exhale, shift shoulders over wrists, curl knee into your nose. Good. Inhale, pull back. A couple more, just like that. Hips are even here. Exhale, shift forward, gaze slightly forward. Bring your right heel closer to your right buttocks. Inhale, stretch back. And then exhale, shift forward. Good, press the mat away vigorously. See if you can sneak that right foot through between your hands. Sometimes it's not so sneaky. You have to actually pick up the foot and move it. That's not cheating. It's just called doing what you need to do. So get this right foot forward, land on your left knee. If you're on a hard surface, you're probably gonna wanna pad that knee up, and then make sure that right knee is over right ankle. You're not on a tight rope, so feet about hips distance apart here. And we're just gonna melt in. So we're letting this left hip release down towards the floor. And this is super intense. So you might actually have your hands up on blocks, which is just a nice little trick to bring the floor a little closer. So it takes some of that intensity out. So yes, we're going for sensation. We're going for stretch. It can even feel a little uncomfortable, but we never want to be going beyond that. And it shifts day to day. It's always a little different. Kind of depends on what we've been doing so far this week. Sometimes even if we're just tired, our bodies can feel really different. All right, so from here, we're gonna start to pull back into our little runner's, it wouldn't be a runner's lunge, our little half splits rather. And again, you might take the blocks with you. So both hips are facing forward. You're gonna draw this right hip back, left hip forward slightly. And then you're trying to keep your spine nice and long. And if you're tight, you're probably pretty upright here. Fingertips on blocks. You might even just be resting your hand against a wall to help you balance. If you're a little more flexible, you might be hinging forward, but I want you to do that with a nice flat back. So as opposed to rounding in to come in, think extension and length forward. So you might not come down as far or as close to that leg, but you're going to be getting a really great stretch in the hamstring and the glute. All right, so let's rock up here. All right, pull your belly in. As you inhale, take your arms up overhead to Anjaliasana, low crescent pose. Absolutely a balanced pose here. So if you're feeling unsteady, walk your right foot off to the right a little bit. And then let's find our little side stretch again in this configuration. So right fingertips to left wrist, squeeze both outer hips in a lot. As you exhale, lean to the right, maybe looking up underneath that top arm. And again, how does this version of this stretch shift how you feel this in your body? Are you breathing? Keep that breath moving. All right, as we inhale, we come up to center. As we exhale, hands frame this front foot. Curl your left toes under. So fire that thigh up. Gaze is forward. Hips are low. I want you to keep them this low as you step back to your plank pose. From here, you have options. You take a chaturanga vinyasa. If you're getting cooked, you skip these. You pull back to your downward facing dog. So just moving with your breath, doing what you need. And of course, you can always find little child's pose breaks if you need as well. All right, so back in our downward dog. As we inhale, we lift the left leg. Keep both hips even. Those left toes are pointing down. Exhale, shift shoulders over wrist, gaze forward, curl knee into nose. It's like a modified little plank pose. Inhale, stretch back. Exhale, curl in, knee to nose. Good, inhale, lengthen back. Exhale, curl in, keep your gaze forward. And then see if you can sneak that foot through between your hands. If it's not sneaky, that's okay. And then see how this hip flexor on this right side is feeling. Big muscles attaching here. So for most of us, this is pretty intense. Pad up that right knee if you need to. Have fingertips on the blocks if you need to. So you can always adjust here. And just remember, the goal is not to like see if you can suffer the most. Again, yes, sensation, some intensity, but not to the point of it being excruciating or feeling like you're going to hurt yourself. Not worth it. We want to be doing this in 30 years or more. So we have to practice smart. You might be noticing a significant difference in this side as opposed to the last side. Good. We're going to start to pull back to our Ardha Hanumanasana. So again, hips are facing forward. So that means you have to draw this left hip back as your right hip comes forward. So there's this scissoring action happening in your legs. And then can you kind of release the shoulders down, especially if they're creeping up around your ears. And again, you can be completely upright with your body. If you are tighter in your hamstrings, that's often true. Guys just have bigger, bulkier muscles. As long as you're getting a stretch, that's where you need to be. And then conversely, if you are folding in a little deeper, do try to keep a little cobra pose feeling in your upper body. So there's a little back bend even as you're forward folding. Breath smooth and steady. Send the exhale to the belly of that hamstring. Really, really big muscle. It gets really tight. Okay, so we're gonna inhale, rock forward. Good, make sure you're not on a tightrope. So we come up here, and again, outer hips are squeezing in, so you're feeling that support. You're feeling your lower belly pull in and up. Left fingertips to right wrist. Inhale, stretch up, get nice and long. Squeeze everything into the midline as you exhale, lean off to the left. And I know for me, I'm feeling this a little more in this like lower right glutes, right waist. It feels really nice. It's one of those hurts so good kind of sensations. Good. Keep everything squeezing in as you inhale. You come up to center. As we exhale, palms plant, curl your right toes under. So again, hips low, keep your gaze forward. Step left foot back to meet right foot. Nothing to it. Easier said than done. All right, from here, Chaturanga Vinyasa. Moving with your breath, or you are pulling back to your downward facing dog. And we can meet there. So I can't stress it enough. These Chaturanga Vinyasas are always optional and better to skip them, especially if you're feeling tired or tender, sore, if you're just not feeling it. Better to skip them is to kind of do them half-assed and without a lot of integrity. So they can actually put a lot of pressure on the shoulders, on the lower back. So we want to be pretty engaged. And if that's just not happening, let them go for a day or two. Good, and then we're slowing the breath down in our downward facing dog. As you inhale, find a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes, look where you're going. So the end of your exhale, you can walk forward, step right then left. Maybe you want to lightly hop both feet through. If it's not so light, that's okay also. Practice makes perfect. As you exhale, fold in. Inhale, press into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. Good. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Let's do one round of our Surya Namaskara B. So we're going to do it with crescent pose today as opposed to our warrior one. And again, you can skip these planks and chaturangas. You can just pull back straight to downward facing dog. So here we go. Feet about hips distance apart. Tailbone releases down, sternum stretches up. Hold on to that as you inhale. Knees bend, arms reach up. Utkatasana chair pose. It's not yoga without at least one of these. As you exhale, you hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest lengthens forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms so you step back, downward facing dog, or left then right into your plank pose, shift forward. lower halfway hover or all the way down. Fire up the legs. Inhale into the back bend of your choice. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts, hips stay even. Exhale, belly helps step that foot through. We keep these back toes curled under this time. Drive this left hip forward. Inhale, rise up. Full crescent pose. You can always keep a little bend in the back knee. That's going to help you to release your tailbone down. If you're tight on that hip flexor, it's going to help. Maybe bring your gaze up, press palms. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. So a few options here. Again, palms plant, step back to downward facing dog. You can step back to your plank. Maybe you step back, keep that right leg lifted. Exhale, lower halfway. Place those toes down before you come into your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts, hips stay even. Belly helps step that foot through. Make sure you're not on a tightrope. Strong back leg. Inhale, rise up. Maybe a little bend in that right knee if you're tighter in your hip flexors. All right, bring your gaze up. Maybe press palms overhead. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. From here, you step to downward dog, plank pose, or left leg lifted. Make sure that those toes are down before you move into your back bend. You want to do that with a lot of symmetry, or it's going to put a lot of pressure on your lumbar on one side. Let me take a couple of breaths here. In fact, I'll take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. As you inhale, a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. And if you exhale, lightly spring through or step left and right, walk forward. Inhale, chest extends. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, knees bend, arms reach up. Utkatasana, chair pose. Belly's pulling in nice and slow as you exhale. Press those legs to straight. Couple of breaths here. Close your eyes. Notice how you're feeling. So getting some heat, which is never a bad thing, especially when it's cold outside. You're ready for warmer weather. Slow the breath down here. Maybe even see if you can slow the heartbeat down. All right, blink your eyes open. So take your feet, probably they're gonna be a little bit wider than hips distance apart, and you can turn your toes out here. We're gonna actually come into a squat, and then we're gonna straighten the legs. We're just gonna do a little movement. It's gonna give us the squat action and then also get into the hamstrings a little more. So you can bring your palms together, your heart, take a nice deep inhale. You're directing your tailbone down. As you exhale, sit in nice and deep, and then this might be where you need to get your legs a little wider, but then you can squeeze your elbows in. So this isometric stretch, everything is coming into the midline. I'm gonna turn to the side here. We're just gonna do about 10 of these. So just keep your gaze forward, belly is pulling in and up. Inhale, squeeze the legs in as you start to extend them to straight. Exhale, sink in. Good, inhale, press those elbows into your legs. Inhale. Good. Exhale, straighten. Sit bones reach up towards the ceiling. Exhale, straighten legs. Good. Inhale, sink in. Let's do 3 more. So exhale, press and squeeze. Inhale, come into that like little modified chair squat. Exhale, press. 2. Inhale, sink in. All right, exhale. Press legs to straight. Inhale here. Let's stretch the arms up and then nice and slow, keep the outer hip squeezing in, belly pulling in. Ooh, as you press the legs to straight. Step the feet together. Release the arms by your side. And if you do have blocks at home or some kind of makeshift prop, it could be books, have those handy at the top of your mat. All right, so We are gonna inhale, stretch your arms out and up. Exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot back, then left, or you step to downward dog. Chaturanga Vinyasa. If you would like, whatever variation you're working with. We pull back, downward facing dog. Okay, so from here, keeping hips nice and even as you inhale, lift your right leg up. Exhale, step that foot through. All right, so just be on your fingertips here or hands on blocks, feet about hips distance apart. So not very far at all. You're just gonna step that left foot in about an inch, and then you're gonna spin into the back edge of that heel. All right, and we're gonna start to straighten this front leg. And it might not get all the way there, but it's that same idea of right hip pulling back, left hip drawing forward. You might be pretty upright here, especially if that right hamstring is really tight, even that right glute. So kind of doing this Uttanasana, so half forward fold in the upper body with our legs in pyramid pose. Just as we did in our half splits on the ground, if you're a little more flexible, keep length, keep back bend in the upper body as you start to extend your chest over that front leg. And again, draw right hip back, left hip forward. Intense, intense hamstring stretch. You might be feeling this outer glute area. You might even be getting a little stretch behind the knee and the calf. Keep that breath smooth and steady, even though it's intense. And then we get a little lazy in that back leg. So fire up that leg as you press into the back of that left foot. Feel that inner left thigh spiral up. Okay, so from here, we're gonna turn this in to our little standing splits just for fun. So you can keep your hands on the block. Come back onto those right toes. Left toes, bend your right knee. Blocks might come forward. And then start to shift the weight into that right foot. So nice little balance pose. You lift this back leg as high as feels good in your body. You might just be right here, that's okay. If you're wanting to challenge your balance a little bit, helps to kind of gaze about a foot in front of that standing foot. Maybe bring your right hand to the outer edge of that right ankle, and then switch left hand to inner ankle. And then maybe you do both. Maybe you fall out. Maybe the earth keeps spinning, even if you do. Great work. All right, so let's plant, hands down, start to bend that right knee a lot. Reach left foot back. Nice work. Good. Palms plant. So your choice here, you're gonna pull back to your downward facing dog. You're dying for a little more heat. Who am I to deny you that? Get that Chaturanga Vinyasa, but again, be very distinct about each movement, especially as we end, so we're coming to the end of our class and we're feeling a little fatigued. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through. All right, so blocks can be really good here. Step your back foot in like about half an inch, not very big at all. Spin into the back edge of your right foot. So those right toes are pointing towards the upper right-hand corner of your mat. And then start to draw this left hip back as you firm the muscles above that left knee. So big hamstring stretch here. Parsvatanasana, pyramid pose. It's a doozy. And again, you might be up pretty high. You could even be doing this with your fingertips on a wall if you're at home, if that feels better. So legs are active, breath is smooth and steady. If you're a little more flexible and you can keep your spine nice and long as you fold in, you're welcome to do that. But keep that action of left hip back, right hip forward. Length through the sides of your waist. Almost there. Okay, so we're going to transition into our standing split. So again, you're welcome to use blocks here and walk them forward. So spin onto those right toes, start to bend this left knee. It's going to help to keep your gaze forward. And then start to shift the weight into that left foot. We're trying to keep the hips pretty square here, so we don't want to open up into like a half moon pose. We're squaring down towards the floor. That right hip's going to open up a little bit. So again, if you want to play with the balance here, maybe bring left hand to the outside of your ankle. And then perhaps you switch sides. Helps to have a drishti, something to look at that isn't moving. Maybe you play with both hands. Great work. If you fall out, no big deal. It's only yoga. All right, so we start to bend this left knee a lot. Reach that right foot way back. Plant your palms. Final chaturanga if you want it. You don't get bonus points if you take it. So skip it if you've had it. We all make our way back to downward facing dog. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth. Sigh the breath out. Ha. Maybe say hallelujah, because all of that hard work is done. So you're going to lower to your knees, cross your ankles behind you, and then just come to a comfortable seat. So finding our dandasana. And again, great place to sit up on blocks, a cushion, a blanket, especially if it's hard for you to sit tall. So if you're rounding in a lot, give yourself a little support. We're just going to take a few breaths here, and I want you to notice how challenging it is to sit like this with a nice tall spine. So really great for building core strength. You're feeling your shoulders stack over your sit bones. Legs are really active here. So this is the seated version of our mountain pose. So we want that much kind of intensity and action happening in the muscles, even though we're sitting. Let's turn this into a nice twist today. So just take your hands underneath that right knee, bend that knee in. And your option is to stay here. If you are able to cross right foot over left thigh and still have both sit bones pressing evenly, you're welcome to do that. I want you to also make sure that you're keeping those left toes flexed and active. And then a couple options here. So let's reach our right fingertips behind us. This is just to find that height through the spine. All right, so you can hug here. And if twisting is hard in your body, this is a really good place to be. If you feel like you have a little more room, maybe you inhale, stretch that left arm up. Exhale from this lowermost left rib, wrap to the right, and then perhaps you take left elbow to the outside of your right thigh. You're pressing shoulder heads back. You're thinking cobra pose in your upper body, even though we're kind of twisting the spine here. And then try to send your breath on the inhale to all of the places in your lungs. So the furthermost places, filling up. It's a little trickier here when we're in this deep back bend, but do the best that you can. You'll notice as you exhale, however, as you empty out, you find a little more space to twist in. Maybe it's just a micromillimeter more, but you can start to move in that direction. You might be moving towards bringing your gaze out over that right shoulder, if that feels okay in your neck. Check in with those left toes again. Make sure that they're carrying their weight of the pose, doing their part. All right, so stay in the twist, but just bring your gaze towards your left shoulder and then tuck the chin a little bit, and that might get into an interesting place in the neck. It might be so interesting that it's awful, in which case you skip this, as always. Good. Deep inhale, just start to lift your chin. As you exhale, come back to center. And let's see, we're gonna do a little kind of side stretch. So you can do this with either configuration of the legs. We're just gonna twist off to the left And then roll down any amount. You could be on your forearms here. Kind of just gets into a nice place through the side of the body. This almost looks like a little arm balance grasshopper pose without all of the hard work of actually balancing on your hands. But you can tell people that you did that today. You have my permission. Couple more breaths. Good. Inhale, start to press on up. All right, so if the leg is crossed over, uncross. Extend both legs to straight. Find that nice seat. So pressing down into your sit bones. Feel that connection. Bend the left knee. So again, options. You stay here like this. You want to be in the place where you feel really grounded in your sit bones, where they're nice and even. Maybe you can cross that left foot over right. So all good places to be. Left fingertips reach behind you. They could even be resting on a block or a blanket. So you want to have lots of length through the sides of your waist, tall in your spine. And again, hugging here. This is the pose. If you want to go a little deeper in the twist and you have that mobility, stretch your right fingertips up on an inhale. And then as you exhale, lead with this lowermost left or right rib rather. And then hook elbow against that thigh. So you're leveraging a little bit so you can press the shoulder heads back and then open up. Trying to fill up on the inhale. It's tricky in these deep twists. Do the best that you can. And then use that emptying out action to help you just twist in a little deeper. Bring everything out. And you're slowly starting to bring your gaze out over that left shoulder head, perhaps. Stay in the twist, but as you exhale, bring your gaze towards that right shoulder. Then maybe even start to tuck the chin. Ooh, this side is intense for me. And just kind of a nice little neck stretch. Good. So as you inhale, lift your chin. As you exhale, unwind. Take an inhale here, and you can keep your legs like this. You can come back to this variation. So we start to rock onto that right leg. And then just fold in any amount. It's a little side stretch. You're trying to release this left hip down. Few more good breaths here. Good, press into your hands. Upright. Good, if that left foot was crossed over your right thigh, uncross, extend both legs to straight here. Quick little Paschimottanasana. So as you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge, forward fold in. So if you're tight, you're going to be pretty upright. Hands just might be resting on your thighs. Maybe you get to shins. Maybe you can grab the edges of your feet, or hands can also be resting on the floor. Again, if you're more flexible, engage the outer hips and then think length. Think back bend cobra pose as you fold in. So you're not rounding in, you're lengthening forward. And that might take you out of the pose a little bit, but it will intensify the stretch. And this is a doozy. We've worked the hamstrings a lot today, so maybe this pose feels a little easier than it usually does. Just a couple more breaths. Slowly roll on up, and we're going to make our way onto our backs. We've made it. We've done it. So setting up for our Shavasana, whatever that looks like for you. So if there's tenderness in your lower back, you just might keep your knees bent, feet as wide as the mat, knees knock in towards each other. And then arms come by your side. You can kind of snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you. Feel that openness, that stretch across your heart and chest. You can be in classic Shavasana here. And maybe just return to that visualization of being on a beach. You're laying on a beach. You're listening to the sound of the waves. You're feeling the warm sun, you're smelling the salt air. So let that just really relax you here today as you soak up the benefits of all of this hard work that you've done. Take a deeper inhale. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. And then start to wiggle fingers, toes, circle ankles, wrists. So just bringing some gentle movement back to your body, whatever feels good here. Maybe stretching arms up overhead. And then you can start to bend your knees, staying soft and quiet. Roll to one side or the other. Just find the fetal position. Pause there a moment. And staying soft and quiet, and gently press up to that comfortable seat. So here we are in our Sukhasana again, but notice how it feels different. So perhaps it feels like you're sitting a little taller with a greater sense of ease. Notice how the breath has shifted. And perhaps most importantly, hopefully the headspace has shifted. Hopefully you're feeling a little calmer, more focused, a little joy. Send yourself love and gratitude for making the effort, for showing up, for working hard. And just promise yourself that you're going to carry this good feeling that you've created with you into the rest of the day ahead. Bring your palms together at your heart. And just bow your head with a smile. Beautiful work today. Thank you.